30%? I don't know. I think so, but enough to bother the attorney on me, we did our focus on it, but.
Pat, I know we have to appoint a chair or whatever, so do I do that after roll call or when I do it?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
we have to prove he's absent first.
Okay, got it. Okay, the time is 6 o'clock p.m. The May 18th, 2026 meeting of the Oglesby City Council is hereby called to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge.
Here.
Cullinan.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
Moyle. Here. Curran.
Mayor Curran is absent tonight. Is there a motion to appoint a chair in his place?
Make a motion to appoint Commissioner Cullinan as chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Baldridge, second by Moyle. The clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Curran absent.
3, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 4 is the mayor's report. As I said, Mayor Curran is not here tonight. He did give me a copy of his report, though, for me to read, so I'll read that to you now. He says, "Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Austin, for running tonight's meeting while I'm out of town for work. I appreciate you stepping in. Number 1, I'd also like to remind everyone that Bark in the Park will be taking place next weekend. I believe it's this weekend.
23rd.
Yeah, this weekend at Lehigh Park. We hope to see a great turnout for another fun community event to kick off the first event of the year. Number 2, as Memorial Day approaches, the Oglesby American Legion will be hosting a Memorial Day ceremony at Memorial Park at 10 a.m. This year's guest speaker will be Oglesby's own Chris Mueller. I encourage everyone to attend as we come together to honor and remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice serving our country. Number 3, lastly, volunteer signups for FunFest are nearly all filled, which is great to see. We still have a few openings for ticket sales and wristband shifts on Saturday and Sunday. As always, thank you to the members of our community who step up to help. FunFest simply would not happen without our volunteers. If anyone is interested in helping with those remaining spots, please contact City Hall. Thank you, everyone, and have a great evening." That's the mayor's report. Number 5, public comment on agenda items only. Is it on an agenda item only?
I believe it's an agenda item. It's about the new players.
No.
It's not on the agenda.
Nope.
You'll have to
No,
wait
no,
till
no.
regular public
No.
comment. You're all good.
Yeah. Yep. You're good.
Yep, you're good. Is there any public comments on agenda items only? No? Okay. So we'll move on. Number 6 will be approval of minutes from the April 20th and May 4th, 2026 regular meeting. If there's no additions, modifications, corrections, whatever, I would seek a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 20th and May 4th regular meeting.
I'll second that motion.
You have a motion by Moyle, a second by McDermott. Clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye. Moving on to the next item, number 7, approval of executive session minutes from the March 2nd and March 16th, 2026 executive session. I believe we reviewed these in our previous closed session, so if there's no concerns, I would seek a motion to approve the executive session minutes from the March 2nd and 16th.
I'll make a motion that we approve March 2nd executive session minutes.
March 2nd and March 16th, both?
Both, correct.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by McDermott, second by Moyle. The clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye. Number 8, approve bills presented for payment in the amount of $859,830.30 for VISSERING Construction and $382,829.61 for monthly bills, for a total of $1,242,659.91. If there's no concerns with those, I would seek a motion to approve the bills as presented for payment.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented by payment.
Is there a second?
Payment.
I'll second.
Motion by McDermott, second by Moyle. Clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge.
Aye.
McDermott.
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye. Number 9, approve payroll approve payroll in the amount of $72,797.33. If there's no concerns there, can I get a motion to approve payroll?
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Moyle, second by McDermott. The clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge. McDermott.
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Cullinan.
Aye. Number 10A, discussion and possible action on sidewalk schedule. McDermott.
This actually was about the, wanting the, get who's got a sidewalk and who doesn't. What we're looking at is, if you needed to do that, we'd have to go through satellite. And if everybody would like, I can get that at the next meeting. However, we'd have to get actual pictures from Chamlin. It's a process. If anybody would want that or not.
We'll go around the
it's gonna be a
room.
little costly.
Commissioner Moyle.
What's the action that we're trying to do? We're trying to decide how we're going to enforce sidewalks, or?
Well, that was brought up, and if you remember the last meeting, I was asked to get the everyone, unless I go to every house and actually mark it down, who's got sidewalks, who don't. That takes some time. The best way to do it would be by satellite. We could have Chamlin's do it, but that will take a little bit of time. I could probably have it at the next meeting, if everybody would want it.
And then on the next meeting, we take action on what to do with them, or?
Well, I would be able to show you which household has sidewalks and which ones don't.
Okay.
That's just basically where we're at.
Commissioner Baldridge.
I guess I'm missing the objective here, like what is the discussion about here? Are we looking to pay for it through OWSB paying for it, through a grant, through the homeowner paying for it? Are you looking like?
Well, it was brought up by, I believe, Austin, you brought it up as well as Jason, that they wanted to know every household whether they had sidewalks or not. So, after talking to Ross and everything else and talking to a few others, the only way we could do that is to actually go through the satellite.
So, I believe the issue is that we don't, to my knowledge, we don't have an inventory of sidewalks throughout town, where they are, where they aren't.
Right.
I know, apparently, as was discussed at the last meeting, we do for our insurance or something like that. I think, Mac, you said this, we go out and look at sidewalks to see which sidewalks might be a trip hazard or something like
Right.
that. So we have some sort of documentation, but I guess we don't sort of have comprehensive documentation as to like where we have sidewalks and where we don't. So there are some parts of town, not even just out there in the new subdivision, but also throughout even the older part of town where there's not sidewalks.
And there's some areas that should have sidewalks that don't even have a house.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
So,
I think that will probably be an issue that we run into is if we, I mean, obviously we can pursue more safe routes to school money
No, I
to put
definitely
in
don't try that.
sidewalks in that part of town. But if we ever talk about, levying any sort of tax or spending any sort of, taxpayer money outside of what we match for the Safe Routes to School grant, you might have people who live in this part of town saying, well, I don't even have sidewalks, or, maybe those
to be
people who live
honest,
in that
I've
part of
already-
town might
I've
say that
already
these
gotten
people.
that call.
Yeah,
I've gotten
so.
people say, hey, I don't have a sidewalk. What about me?
Yeah, and so I think it would probably be beneficial to obviously have some sort of an inventory of where we have sidewalks and where we don't, so we can make decisions moving forward about where we're going to install sidewalks and how we're going to pay for them. So I don't know. I guess satellite maybe that's the best way to do that. I don't know.
That
I
would be
mean,
nice.
I'm not sure. I think for the most part, most of the town, at least over here, does have sidewalks, but I do know that there are a few places where the sidewalks do end, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know what the cost would be on that, and I don't know how much harder it would be than to just, drive around and map out the sidewalks that way. But, I mean, I'm not sure what the most efficient strategy is for that, but I do think we need to have some sort of inventory of sidewalks, so.
Ross, do we need to do that in order to apply for the sidewalk grant again?
No.
You don't.
So what would be,
This would be more if the city was looking at having, like you said, an inventory to at least know where do we generally have sidewalk, where do we not. I think this is a separate issue from Safe Routes to School or any other grants. It would be more if you guys felt it was important to, going forward, start to implement with a plan. If we wanted to add more sidewalks to town in general, how do we, allocate time and money
So-
to it? So it's totally something that's, it's up to you guys, that's something that's important to you. All I've kind of told Mac is that we're capable of helping you guys generate that inventory. Using aerial imagery, it would just be location, it wouldn't be quality, it wouldn't be how old is it, how, it would just be in general.
Just
guys
tell you
have
who's got it and who
we
don't.
see where we have sidewalks, where we don't. So, no, I don't think it impacts your ability to get grants. It could be helpful just, like I said, if you're planning to improve the overall sidewalk access around town, it would help you make informed decisions on where to do that.
so,
So, yeah.
in your opinion, it would probably be best if we allocated some money before we go figuring out where all these sidewalks are and maybe getting some people excited that they may be getting a new sidewalk and then the city
Yeah.
doesn't have any money at all. Or we invest in having you guys do these views and everything and
It wouldn't
there's
be
no
a big
money.
lift for us. I would need some time just to come with a proposal. We're not talking about it, but from the effort here, but it would be a little bit of cost on our.
Just basically need a direction if that's what everybody wants. I know we were talking about, do you charge the people or whatever? I don't think we should. Former councils hasn't,
Yeah, I think we have to
Can't
determine.
start charging people.
I think we have to determine where we even have sidewalks to begin with, and then I think when we have an idea of where they're at, and then we can kind of have more of those discussions. But I would assume that probably most of the areas that don't have sidewalks would be covered by Safe Routes to School. I mean,
Well-
what is it, a 2 mile or?
How many is that? Jim?
Yeah, I thought it was like 2 to 3 miles or something like that. So between the two schools that we have, that's a pretty decent chunk of space. But the issue that I do see us running into is if we do, and we are starting to put them in out there. You might have people, like I said, in this part of town complaining that they don't have sidewalks, or you might have, people in that part of town, complaining that, well, because there were some people who didn't necessarily like the idea of sidewalks being put in over there. They might say, well, why are you putting them in over here when there's no sidewalks in this random neighborhood either, so, might be
I'm
something.
hearing it from all sides, trust
Yeah.
me.
So
Like I said, I don't think this will make a big, it won't sway things one way or the
Yeah.
other. It's more
No.
about the grants, it's more
Yeah.
if you guys are interested in just seeing
Sure.
the big picture of town.
what does that usually run?
We'd have to look it over.
Yeah, I won't give you
Sure.
that number.
Okay.
We're not talking $10,000.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Less than that, certainly.
Sure. Yeah, I think it would be good knowledge to have, but I don't know if anybody else has any
Well,
other comments on that.
I guess it's, when they build a house, they're supposed to put a sidewalk, so how many of them we have lately?
Not to.
Yeah, I
get in
know.
there, But, I mean,
And I
we're
can,
doing that, we're kicking around this money and everything, it's an old city, there's a lot of sidewalks that, definitely need some replacements, so.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
We're figuring out money to put in new sidewalks, I think we should also take into consideration a lot of these old ones that are crumbled and trip hazards.
well, that's the thing, the city does allow for residents to, the city will help pay for the concrete. You do the structure and the work, or hire somebody, you come up to City Hall, they got the paperwork to get the concrete paid, help out and get it paid for.
What I think would be nice to see is, I guess I might not have it anymore. I had it at one point, but during the what was it, the 2019 election, there was a map that was put together of all the either not functioning fire hydrants or low flow fire hydrants. What would be really nice to see, and I think I said something to this effect before, but it would be nice to see, like, maybe you can actually like superimpose stuff over like Google Maps to see like an inventory of our sidewalks in the city of Oglesby with like, and again, I don't know if this is common when it comes to sidewalks in municipalities, but like some sort of letter grade attached to them, and some sort of like some sort of window in time in which we'd be looking at replacing those sidewalks. Something like that I think would be beneficial to have.
Well, it's always, that is beneficial, but you gotta take into considerations, things happen, you gotta, well, this one comes first.
Sure. But again,
and
when
forward.
we're talking about installing sidewalks, like Rich said, you might have somebody who says, well, you're talking about putting in sidewalks, you can't even maintain the sidewalks that you already have. And so I do think having an inventory and maybe having the inventory graded in terms of, you know, their quality,
Well,
I
then,
guess.
then you're looking at ordinances and everything else after the sidewalk gets put in.
Mhm.
Does the city take control of that or not? Which is it, Pat?
If I could jump in.
Yeah,
As far
go
as
ahead.
inventory and actually determining quality, et
Yeah.
cetera, that would be quite a bit more
Yeah.
effort. Because
Yeah.
you're talking about somebody having to walk the
Right.
Sure, of course.
actually inspect everything.
Yeah.
So that would be quite a bigger lift. I will mention
Get a
kind of what you're
notebook.
talking about.
I need a dictionary for that.
It's what we call GIS,
Mhm.
geographic information
Yeah.
systems. And we actually have somebody that's trained in that, and that's his job is GIS coordination. And you can actually build the digital databases of a map where
Mhm.
you can do all kinds of things with it. You can have tabs, you can have information, you can have water main sewers, all types of things where you can detail the elevations and the size.
Sure.
You can even leave notes on the quality, so,
Mhm.
you know, if that's something that you guys are interested in, kind of more big picture, not just sidewalks, but water,
Sure.
sewer, everything, there are a lot of really cool tools.
And actually, I would like to have the water and sewer and everything involved, with as much as we're spending on everything right now. But,
Yeah.
and we're always gonna do more safe route to schools. I'm gonna try for as many grants as I can. That's, well, one of the discussions that we're having later, I'll explain
Yeah.
on the TIF.
So, I don't know if there's, I mean, anything we have to necessarily do here, but are we fine with, I suppose,
If you wanted, we could, Dave Peters, who's
Yeah.
actually on the board here in town, lives here in Oakland,
Mhm.
he could present information on just, so you guys even know what's out there.
Sure.
If you were interested. I could have him speak to you guys and show you the kind of things that we do.
Yeah.
And for long-term benefit of the city, of knowing what you have out
Mhm.
there, so it's not just, you know, on people that work here in
Yeah.
town that kind of have this mental
yeah,
knowledge of everything.
Yeah.
It's a way to kind of digitize it and you know, constantly update it.
I think,
Well, I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I
even
think that's ideal.
future.
So if you want, I can get you some more information, and if you want, I can also have Dave come. I'm sure he can put things on the screen
Sure.
and show you what's the deliverable, like what do you end up with once you do have
Sure.
a city grant. Peru does it, we have other towns that work with that.
Sure.
Have it pretty extensively.
Well, I'm all for it, Ross. I'll talk to you afterwards about that.
So, are we okay with just having that on the next agenda to discuss, the GIS stuff?
Yeah.
Does that work for
Okay.
everybody?
Okay,
No, we're
then I don't think we
getting
need to
done.
take any action on
No,
that.
there's no action.
So then we'll move on, if there's nothing else, to 10B. Ryan Hogan, NCICG Safe Communities Grant, CULLINAN. So I think Jen got a call
Yeah, he's
earlier
not able to make it
Yeah,
today.
he's not able to be here. But I do believe there was an email sent out. It was,
Yeah,
it was the
that's
other
my
day, let me
grant.
pull it up. Jen sent it out, said that Ryan Hogan reached out about some properties in town that could be taken care of with the Strong Communities Grant, Strong Communities Grant. In that grant, we have about $132,000 left, and those monies have to be used by November of this year. So, again, there was in the email that Jen sent, Ryan suggested 4 different properties. I know that we've talked about at least one property in closed session, and maybe what we could do with that. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to this. Obviously, Ryan's not here to present tonight. If not, we'll just move on.
I would suggest we wait and talk to Ryan when he gets here, maybe in the next meeting or something.
Okay, we can see if he wants to come in.
I believe he'll be here in the second meeting in June was his availability for the next one.
Okay. So then, if there's nothing on that, we'll move on to 10C, which is dry bridge discussion. McDermott.
Okay, on the dry bridge, we did put in a request. Okay, come on. The dry bridge, we have put in for a request, and it's up to the county and everything else. The requirements we're asking, originally they're supposed to keep one side open at all times, okay? But they're telling us with to get it done right and get it done properly and better quality, they need to close the bridge down and do it all at once, okay? So we put in a request that the pedestrian sidewalk shall remain open during the closure. The closure shall not occur prior to June 1st, 2026, end of the Oglesby school year, and shall be completed prior to the start of the school next fall. The closure shall be limited to Tuesday. They're closing it down for 3 days. Should be limited to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday only. The closure shall not occur during the week of June 15th, 2026 due to Summerfest activities. Message boards shall be placed on each approach 1 week in advance, announcing the closure. A coordination meeting with the police chief, fire chief, ambulance director shall be held at least 10 days prior to the closure to allow emergency services time to prepare. Special advance notice, minimum 10 days, shall be provided to Cookie Kingdom so they may notify suppliers of the city and to the city clerk so the city may respond to public injuries. And number 8, type 2 barricades shall be used to close the south 14 feet of the dry bridge eastbound lane to allow for rapid removal of in the event of an emergency. Type 3 barricades with road closed signs shall be elsewhere. Additional, the city suggests that closure operation on the front of the first day began at approximately 8:30 a.m. to avoid impact of the morning commute. And let's see, and that should do it. And hopefully the county will let us know of their approval or acceptance of our requirements. The thing is, they were supposed to originally keep one side open. But if they do that, it's going to hinder the product. Okay? Everybody understand that? It's just informational. I think the public should know, and we'll let the fire chief and police chief be in that discussion as well.
Can you get me a copy of the requirements that you posted, just so that way I can share
I'll
with
send it
them?
right to you right now. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay.
And then maybe they can give a heads up to Boozy.
So there's nothing actionable here.
No.
I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that. My question is, what dry bridge is this, Mac? This is
Dry bridge.
the same one that just got.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they need to do with it?
They're gonna, basically, they're gonna blacktop it, okay?
Oh, okay.
And the membrane has to be fully all the way across.
Okay.
They gotta leave the walkway open, okay? They gotta let us know 10 days in advance.
Okay.
They gotta we're gonna get a meeting with the police chief, the fire
So,
chief.
Just blacktopping is what they're doing.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
it needs to be done.
Okay, so there's really no actionable stuff on that?
No, it's
then?
just to inform the public.
Okay, so nobody has anything on that? Okay, we'll move on to 10D, discussion and possible action on Walnut TIF repairs. McDermott.
Okay. With the lead line, we have multiple sidewalks on Walnut. I believe it was what, Rich, a couple of years ago, we discussed the beautification with the electric and everything. Here's what I propose. Walnut Street's in a TIF, okay? The best way to take out those lead lines and to do it right would be to use the TIF, and at the same time, we got the electric lines right there too. We can upgrade the lights and get those lead lines out of there at basically minimal cost as possible. Otherwise, we're looking at, it's gonna be costly, it's not cheap. But this way, we could also get the electric poles, light poles, get them upgraded, get everything fixed right. Do it all at once. This way, when we pour the sidewalk down, it's done. We don't have to break the sidewalks to get to the electric or whatever. And here we go again. Trying to save the city money by using the TIF and doing it all at once. So it'd be a collaboration with the electric, streets, and water. Just another information, and I wanted to know what everybody thought about using the TIF.
Go around the room. Commissioner Moyle.
Do you have any, like, dollar figures, what that would cost? I mean, I'm all for it, I'm just curious of how far we're in this. Is this gonna be a project that would be completed this year, this summer?
There's quite a bit of,
Yeah, it sounds pretty
lines is-
extensive.
yeah, the government has made us, we have to get at least 7 to 9, 7%,
which is about 12 to 13,
done
based on what we have of the lead lines, yeah.
a year, and they're all over town,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Every resident received a letter stating that they had lead lines in the front, and we gotta take care of them. Once again, there you go, Austin, there's your things about your sidewalks. Well, people need to let us know. They need to let us know that their sidewalks aren't bad, and we'll see what we can do. But using the TIF would be a lot easier and a lot less cost to the city. If I had to say how much it would cost, oh gosh, it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
You figure 7% every year, and we got them all over town.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a way of saving costs.
Commissioner Baldridge.
Yeah, I think something's definitely gonna have to be done. I'm hopeful though for the ITEP grant that we were looking into. You guys are still looking for that, right?
Always.
We were rejected last time, so hopefully it comes beyond our term, but
Well, we could always get it started with the TIF. The TIF actually includes Walnut.
You'll need some estimates though, back. with
Yeah,
this.
we will.
And it'll have to be run past the TIF committee too, because we're spending their money, so. Anyway, the way to start is to get estimates about what you wanna do.
Per project? Yeah. That's,
I personally think, Lance, you ought to break them out, because it might come down to, we can't do them both, so which one are we gonna choose? And if you put them all together, you'll never be able to make that decision.
I mean, like a block at a time? Cause once you take the sidewalk up, you don't wanna go back and do a letter, cause they're both
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? So, once you dig one up, you wanna do both at that time.
because if you don't,
Break
do
out the block.
it all over.
Cause the lead line is always from Casey's to the driveway. I'll tell you real quick.
Well, I think you better just give an estimate for all.
For all the whole thing.
And if they have to cut back, we'll have to pick and choose as to what areas they wanna attack first.
I mean, the lead lines is kind of non-negotiable.
Yeah,
That's something
it's
that
gotta happen.
needs done at some point, and I would recommend we move forward just as soon as we're gonna do that, anything else would be auxiliary to that, if the
We basically got
But I
to,
think what Mac is getting at is just the order of operations here. It doesn't make sense to
right,
do a lot of work to the sidewalk, especially downtown, when we know we're gonna have to rip up a good portion of it just to replace the wet lines.
What's the deadline?
This is, we'll probably have about 7 years.
7 years.
So ultimately, you'd have to take that and divide it up anyway. If you're gonna start at Casey's and get down to the dry bridge, you better have a plan on
Mhm.
how far you,
Oh, yeah.
regardless, you have to do it, so.
We got a choice. And rather than put a new sidewalk in, pull the lead line, pull a new sidewalk, and then have to pull it for streetlights, you're costing the city twice
Are
as
there
much.
a lot of lead lines on Walnut Lane?
Everyone.
Everyone?
There's a few dangled in there with everyone,
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's,
and the concrete's 18 inches.
what do they say? Phenomenal? It's a big one.
Are there lead lines elsewhere in the city outside of Walnut
All
Street?
over.
166 left.
Okay.
Yep.
And do all those have to be replaced within the next 7 years?
I think it's like 10,
10.
whatever, it's 7%.
But all of them have to be gone by that
7%
time?
every year.
Okay. Um,
We've taken somehow, as we see, because once you see it or uncover it, we're mandated to take it out right
Yep.
away. So if we uncover one on like a broken service, we gotta pull it, and we'll pull it, and take that out right there. If you want bigger scope of stuff, that's a different problem.
As soon as you see one, if the guys are digging for whatever, they see a lead line, you gotta pull it out. That's a state and federal requirement.
And there is some down on the east side of town where that, you guys have gotten that grant for the asbestos.
Right.
That'll address a few of them there, so.
But I thought with Walnut having the TIF, and we gotta do it anyway,
Mhm.
just do the electric poles at the same time and put a good sidewalk and save the city money.
Are we upgrading the electric poles or just beautifying? What,
Yeah, they need
I don't-
upgraded.
okay. Okay.
I can tell you from what we've seen digging there, that conduit and the wire underneath is very bad.
Okay, yeah,
It's getting more.
okay. So it makes sense to do it at the same time, in my opinion.
I hope.
Yeah, the electrical definitely has to be done at that time, so the poles, upgrading the poles is more of a,
You gotta do the lines.
Okay, so maybe that's something that can kind of be, I mean, it's a separate issue, of course, but it can maybe kind of be adjacent to the larger sidewalk schedule and inventory.
Just
so.
keep in mind that if we see a lead line, even going down Walnut, they see it, they have to pull it out. That's a requirement.
Is there any additional conversation on that? None? Okay, we'll move on to 11A. 11A, discussion and possible action on zoning administrator. So I placed this on the agenda. I know that we've kind of talked about this item a few different times. This position has been vacant, effectively de facto vacant, since the retirement of City Clerk Kleinerd. I do know that, Pat, at one point you said that she kind of, de jure, is kind of still the zoning administrator, but she's obviously not working for the city anymore, at least as a salaried employee. So, with that being said, just in her absence, the office staff had to basically take on the responsibilities of the zoning administrator. And obviously, they aren't necessarily, they know a lot more than most people when it comes to, kind of the functions, the inner workings, mechanisms of the city. But with that being said, they're not necessarily experts on zoning, and this has resulted in increased workload because of the cumbersome and technical questions that accompany it, as well as the paperwork. And so I thought I would throw this on the agenda and then, again, maybe have a discussion on this. I really do believe that the current situation with the people in the office just kind of, they're doing the best that they can, of course, but I don't necessarily think that that's a, sustainable situation. So I don't necessarily have a recommendation as for a specific person to appoint as zoning administrator, because I know we've discussed a few options and haven't been able to come to a consensus. But I did want to discuss this nonetheless because it is starting to pose an issue. So I'll go around the room, and if you have any thoughts or anything to contribute on that, I welcome it. Commissioner Moyle.
So, this is something that just is confusing to me because my regular job, but we don't have a budget. Like, I know when I don't have a budget, I go home and I don't get paid. And I don't know how we can create a position without the finalized budget. So,
Well, you have a position in your code, Hillary.
okay,
And the ordinance says that the zoning administrator will be appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of the council.
okay.
So you guys obviously have to agree on who that might be, but there is a provision in the code.
So,
And many of the decisions in the zoning department rely on the zoning administrator making it. So we're kind of in a gray area right now without one, and I would definitely recommend to get one.
are you asking is this an appointed position? What are you requesting?
Well, we would have to appoint somebody, yes, to serve as zoning administrator.
But not
We
necessarily
don't have to do that
compensated,
today.
is what I'm
No,
trying.
I don't think you have to compensate the zoning administrator. right?
Okay, that's what I was getting at. It
Yeah.
was confusing
Well, I
to
can't
me.
imagine many people that wanna work there.
Exactly. But strictly speaking, I don't think you have to compensate them.
Okay.
But I do think there
We
has
do
to be
as
somebody who
commissioners.
fills that position. So, again, I know we've kicked around a few names. We haven't been able to come to a consensus necessarily, but it is an issue that I think we're gonna have to address sooner than later, kind of echoing what Pat said, so.
Well, I'd like to know something. What's the actual requirements?
I don't think there are any requirements.
Well,
but-
that's,
No, I don't think there are either, Mac, but, you
and
know,
Rich,
they obviously need to know something in detail about your zoning code and about, that general area of the law, cause it's very technical.
I knew you'd have that, Rich.
Can you read it out loud? I don't know what it is.
The zoning administrator shall be designated by the mayor, subject to approval of the city council. Powers and duties, the zoning administrator shall have the following powers and duties, basically what you just said, Pat, earlier. Have the initial responsibility and the authority of the interpretation and enforcement of the city's land development code and all other applicable ordinances, regulation codes. To enter an inspection any premises as needed in the performance of these duties, to attend all meetings of the Plan Commission and zoning boards of appeals, if requested, for the purpose of providing technical assistance when requested by the Commissioner Board, to review the issue building permits, signing permits, letters of occupancy, to hear, decide applicants for interpretation of the use, classification, land development regulations of the Land Development Code and zone district boundaries, and 6, to serve as a member of and call meetings of the Development Review Committee as needed. No degree needed.
But there are no specific requirements for, the person to take that job.
Okay.
So basically, if we get somebody that would be willing to,
Somebody with
knowledge of the
land
code and learn the
development
codes
very helpful.
and the ordinances,
Perhaps
That
a
answers-
contractor might be the first place to look.
a contractor or somebody that's familiar with the codes.
I'm fine with whatever. Maybe if we can put some names together and, even if we want to discuss it, maybe compile some names and discuss it in the next closed session. But I think we have to take action sooner than later. Even if, I don't know, even if not everybody agrees necessarily on, even if we're not lockstep on who it should be, I think we have to take action sooner than later. I think we can't leave this
Do
position
we-
vacant, so.
Do we have a concern that has an immediate issue needed resolved, or?
Well, yeah, the concern is that there's a number of responsibilities that you just read that the zoning administrator is responsible for that are creating a backlog in the office, so. The position exists for a reason, so I think it needs to be filled,
Okay.
so let's maybe brainstorm some names and bring them to the next closed session and we can discuss. That sounds
Or-
everybody.
would that also be, since you're sitting in the mayor's chair, maybe if anybody feels like they would be qualified or interested in the position to reach out as well?
Correct.
Yeah, of
Reach
course.
out to the mayor and
Yeah,
then
I would,
we'll make a decision.
yeah, that's absolutely, right. I would encourage anybody who's sitting at home watching this, if they have the knowledge, or if they have any sort of, if they feel like they'd be a
Interest?
good fit to be zoning administrator, or they have, any sort of knowledge of our land development code, I would certainly encourage them to reach out to Mayor Curran, as he is the person who appoints with consent of the council, so, between this meeting and next meeting, so. Good there?
Yeah, I believe that's it.
Okay, I do think we need to take action on it at the next meeting though, so, I'll just leave that there. So, that's, 11A. Number 12, public comment on any topic. Feel free to come on up.
That would be you.
Yep.
Speak here,
Yep.
speak there.
Speak up there.
Come
It's a
on.
little intimidating.
Oh, no, you're on.
Oh, it's not intimidating.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Use the mic.
Yep.
Good afternoon, good evening, thank you so much
Good
for
evening.
allowing me to talk. My name is Sean, here with a friend and associate named John. So Alley Mills submitted a proposal for, we call it a sports bar-like establishment right off of the expressway. For two reasons that we really want to come into this neighborhood. It's the small town feel, but also the tourism that is, I'm gonna say prevalent, kind of existent for the national parks and the parks in the area. So we take it as a good challenge where we are here to support the local neighborhood and what's important to them in establishments where their families can go after church, evenings, just a great place to eat, not just a traditional bar, right? Different sorts of activities, but at the same time, we've got, the town has people visiting from all over the state, out of state. So trying to cater to two different, almost different types of clientele, but at the same time, trying to bring people into town, which I think benefits all of us. So, think of something like, I hate to say it this way, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chili's, it's just good bar food, just better quality bar food, very reasonably priced, but at the same time, activities, utilizing the outside patio, maybe utilizing some of the parking lot for events throughout the year. If we can do it at no cost for special holidays and Christmas time and give away meals and dinners, that's our goal. Be a part of the community, but at the same time, hopefully we can benefit from the traffic from the expressway and also town as well. So we did send a proposal. I'm not sure if you looked at it. I don't think we're here kind of talking about the proposal, but I just wanted to let you put a face to kind of the establishment coming into town, and that's it. Just want to, and we value feedback. If we're doing something good, what they call it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we want feedback. We're only going to grow if the community supports us. We're only going to give back if we can all kind of do this together. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. If anybody wants
Appreciate
to go around the room, if they have anything to say or ask or anything of that nature.
You know, I do have some questions, but maybe I'll just meet after the meeting if that's okay.
Sounds good.
Commissioner McDermott, anything?
Where exactly are you wanting to?
210 Lewis, right behind the Days Inn.
Where Two Brothers used to be.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Two Brothers. Wow.
We've already gone to a few, at least 4 or 5 of the establishments. We've talked to the local neighbors about the good and the bad things that have kind of gone at the location, but at the same time, we take that as a good challenge, right? We're excited about it. So we're not concerned about where others have maybe not succeeded. I think if we do this right, we're gonna do just fine.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner
Welcome.
Baldridge,
Thank you.
anything?
I sincerely wish you good luck.
Thank
Sounds like
you.
a great plan.
Yeah, I would echo that. I am totally supportive of anybody who wants to come to town and add something. And so, especially businesses that generate tax revenue and bring people in off the interstate and even give the locals a place to eat. So, totally supportive of it. I look forward to talking more and working more with you in the future. So, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Any other public comments on any topic? Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Moyle.
I actually don't have anything for tonight, so.
Commissioner McDermott.
Well, I actually have a few things. Okay, I sent everyone here an email. I need you to look at that over, and we'll discuss that later. Also, June 1st through the 5th is hydrant flush. Please watch out for the guys. The wastewater treatment plant, VISSERING is doing a great job. Work is going great. Actually, it's really looking good. Other than that, I don't really have anything.
Okay. Commissioner Baldridge.
Yeah, I think, you said earlier, the Bark in the Park this weekend, and also don't miss out on the, Memorial Day ceremony at Memorial Park. This past Sunday, Memorial Park had some wonderful volunteers come out to help clean up the area. It's incredible to see their dedication, as this is the 4th year they've done this, and I wanna warmly thank them for their ongoing support. Exciting news, they've also arranged for a professional to clean, polish, and seal the corner monument this week. This care should help preserve this historic relic for 10 to 15 years or even longer. All of these efforts have been generously funded by the amazing volunteers from We Are Oglesby nonprofit organization. They truly are a priceless asset to our community, and I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for everything they do throughout the year. Great job, everyone.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Okay. I would
Me too.
echo Rich's thanks to We Are Oglesby for their work. I also want to thank our administrative assistants, Sherry and Zoe, for the diligence they have put in to make this year's Bark in the Park happen. You know, I've been here a year and they've been here roughly as long, and they're hard workers, they're very creative, and they really do care. And so you can't put a price on that. So thank them. I want to start out by thanking them. Next meeting, I will not be here. I'll be absent. I'm going to Kansas City for the AP Advanced Placement grading of AP US History essays. And so I'll be gone for about a week, but I will be asking the council to consider a renewal of our agreement with Connecting Point for IT-related services. I'm going to recommend that we lock in on a 3-year basis. However, I do know that you know, there's a new administration that will be coming in a year, and so that's something to consider. I will have the cost is cheaper though, and the price did go up between last year and this year, and so I imagine that it will continue to go up. So I will have a prepared statement and accompanying documentation for each member in the shared drive for next meeting. Additionally, the city's digital ordinance book has finally been updated as of May 1st, 2026. You can access this ordinance book on our website or by simply Googling Oglesby Municode. Actually, I was just looking at it. I pulled up the zoning administrator description, and that was actually something that was added. It hadn't been updated since February of 2024, and they were just, I don't exactly know why, what the hang up was, but it's updated now, and that was actually one of the things that's marked as new in it, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Beyond that, speaking of our digital ordinance book, work is continuing on the digitization of old ordinance books. Jen has reached out on my behalf to a few vendors, and we're mulling options. There's a number, I think I said this during a previous meeting, but there's a number of very, very old ordinance books in that back room in the clerk's office that the people in our office, for reference, would certainly benefit from digitization. So we're looking at that. Other work happening in the office includes the preparation of our annual appropriations, and for me specifically, getting caught up on the work of chaptering our YouTube videos and digitizing our online forums. When I sat down with my department on May 12th during a department meeting, we talked about online forums. It's been something that we've talked about for a bit, but the kind of consensus that we came to in that room was that we were going to make certain forms available to be filled out online, but other forms require an in-person submission with accompanying documentation, such as building permits, because those are just kind of a whole different animal. But like I said, I've been talking about the digitization of forms for a while, but be on the lookout for those on our website in the near future, as they are prepared, but simply need to be rolled out. So that's all I have for my commissioner's report. Number 14, I won't read the whole thing because I will ask if we need to go into executive session for the purpose of, and then I'll read the whole thing if we need to. But is there a need to go into executive session?
No.
I don't feel there is.
Since there is not a need to go into executive session, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to
I'll
adjourn by
second it.
Baldridge and a second by McDermott. Clerk will call the roll.
Baldridge,
Aye.
Cullinan,
Aye.
In favor.
McDermott,
Aye.
Moyle.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:49 p.m.
I kind of love when Jason's not here.